All right, I'm here with my guy Nate and his coach, Ken Termini. I've heard all the famous stories about Nate's high school career, how he was the first one to win the district championship, right? At his
30 years, yeah.
In 30 years. So with this coach here, I'm going to kind of facilitate a conversation between you guys. So, Nate, I'll start with you. Just tell me what coach means to you.
Yeah, so Coach came into Palmerton when I was a sophomore, and I came from being on the freshman team the year prior. And so when he first came in, I really had no clue what to expect from varsity basketball. And then obviously we had some great years together, turned the program around, and then have stayed in touch ever since. And he's been a big help, not only in terms of developing me into a basketball player, but into a man, and helped me navigate the journey of high school basketball. And then, I've asked him for business advice and just life advice in general. So, he's meant a lot to me and my progression throughout the years.
Coach, what does it mean to hear that as a coach? Because I'm sure in the moment it's like maybe you have some tough times, you butt heads. What does it mean years down the line to hear from your players how big of an impact you made on them?
I think that's what everybody goes into coaching about, to hear someone like Nate say something like that. It's heartwarming, it's touching, and it's easy to build relationships like that when you start with people with great character and great morals and great work ethic and great parents like Nate has and his family up in Palmerton. Nate tells a lot of nostalgic, positive stories about our time in Palmerton. He forgets we were 2-20 my first year
Wow.
after his sophomore year, when we totally gutted the program that had lost for 15 straight years and rebuilt. But by the time Nate was a senior, he was hanging a year up on the wall in the district banner and taking the team to states for the first time in a couple decades. And it was just a pleasure to coach him.
Yeah, I see the 1,000-point ball up behind Nate. So as a coach, what was it like having a player of Nate's caliber? And did you give him the green light, or did you ever have to hold him back? Just talk about like Nate's play style, I guess, and how you had to coach him, maybe compared to other players and stuff like that.
First of all, Nate has great talent, and Nate, I didn't get Nate till his sophomore year. So Nate was coached and taught to be a stone-cold killer scorer. That was his role on that team. And my first memory of Nate was his freshman year, the year before I became his coach, averaging like almost 30 points a game as a ninth grader playing freshman ball. And the only thing I was thinking, Danny, was like, what the hell is he doing playing freshman ball? This kid was talented enough to be coming off the bench varsity his first year and should have been a JV starter. So, the second I got hired, I went to him, I said, you're starting. And then it was just a matter of Nate learning to play within a system a little bit. And there, I'm sure, were some film sessions that Nate maybe wouldn't have spoken as favorably about me then as he does now, as we point out certain wide open teammates or stuff like that. But Lord, he could score the ball, and he had some great nights, man. He was a stone cold scorer. He scored almost, what was it? Almost 1,200 points with just 3 years. He didn't play any varsity his freshman year.
Wow. Yeah, and Nate, for you, that freshman year, I'm sure you had heard a lot about Coach, but was there any, I know from my high school experience, I feared my varsity coach. Was there like fear going into it, or going from freshman to sophomore, like what was your mindset going into that?
Yeah, so my freshman year, like Coach said, I was just getting buckets pretty much, and pretty much had the green light, could do whatever I want. And then going into varsity ball, I really had no clue what to expect, because I didn't even play JV. Like, I was never in the varsity gym until my sophomore year. So it was such a drastic change going from freshman to varsity. And I didn't like Coach. I remember Coach came into the auditorium for the first time to like introduce himself to everyone and like say, hey, everyone come out to tryouts. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, Coach, my name's Nate. Like, hopefully I get to play for you one day. And, little did I know, like 2 months later, I'd be starting varsity. But, like, I didn't really know what to expect. I really thought I was so far behind everyone. And I had such a chip on my shoulder that I was just going to shake his hand, leave a good first impression, and then just kill it in practice and try to get on the court. And, obviously, I had a good year that sophomore year. Even though we didn't win a lot of games statistically, I did pretty well. So that was just pretty cool for me, taking such a big jump in such a drastic way and still being successful. So when Coach came in, I didn't really know what to expect, but it all played out.
Yeah, no, that's great. Coach, when your sophomore might be the best player on your team or the hardest worker or the best scorer. How do you get buy-in then from the older guys to accept him and maybe get them to play as hard when they think it might be their year as a senior, when you got this scrawny, scrappy sophomore coming to take their spot? What's your approach there?
Well, the truth is we didn't get them to buy in. The truth is most of the seniors walked away from the team. The one that stayed, there were 3 that stayed. One that played a lot, one that played a little, one that hardly played, had some injury issues. But, the one that played a lot, we showed him respect. We made him the captain. But that was a rebuilding. That program had lost. And I think that's the thing. There used to be a time where, there are 2 types of communities. There are communities that believe that you earn your way to a starting job by tenure, and there are communities who believe that you earn your starting job by talent. Parents are always going to lean toward tenure, especially if they're parents of less talented kids. And the question is whether you have an administration that are willing to support them. When you walk into a town like Palmerton that really wants to win and had a great basketball history, one of the only NBA players in the Lehigh Valley history coming out of Palmerton, but they hadn't won in 15, 16 years. They were pretty open to doing what it took to win. So, some parents complained, but I had a lot of support back then with the administration, and I think the results ended up speaking for themselves.
To piggyback on that, how do you deal with entitlement from parents or players as a coach? Because in my community, we are known for, Plymouth White Marsh, we're known for bringing in a lot of guys from inner city Philly. And what happens is a lot of the guys in the community end up not starting or end up coming off the bench. So as a coach, and I kind of bought into that system, and it is what it was. It is what it is. It made me into who I am. So as a coach, how do you kind of put the entitlement aside and kind of not care about what people think in terms of playing time or stuff like that?
Well, I coached only at public schools, so we had boundaries and we didn't have transfers coming in and out. So we didn't have the problem that way. Like I said, it was more, well, my son's been in the program for X amount of years. He's earned his opportunity. And my response would always be, well, he's earned the right to go after that opportunity.
Right,
and then it comes down to talent, performance, attitude, being there, all the things that it takes. Look, I'm a dinosaur, man. Things have changed. I mean, everything is different, and guys that are far more talented as coaches than I are walking away from the game because of this very same problem. So I'm not sure what the answer is. You just hope you have great kids and a great administration to support you.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. So I guess back to Nate, how did Coach prepare you for your career at Moravian? And was college basketball always something that you believed in, or was it something that, because I know a lot of high school coaches don't help their high school players get to the next level. So how did Coach help you? Was it something he instilled in you, he pushed you to do? Talk about that.
Yeah, so actually after that sophomore year, I remember it was right before our first win of that year. Out of the 2 wins, it was right before the first win. So we were on our way to Northwestern, and I remember being in the back of the bus. And that night ended up being our first win, but Coach called me up. And he actually called up 2 of our other players as well. But he called me up to his front seat, and he was like, have you ever thought about playing travel AAU basketball? And I was like, honestly, no, I never thought about it. And he was like, one of the guys I know from Nazareth, he's starting up an AAU program. I think you should, give it a look and get as many game reps as possible that summer. So, my parents and I reached out, and I ended up playing for that guy. His name was Daryl Roth. Shout out to you. Played for him for 2 years on the Lehigh Valley Renegades, we were called. And it was just good to, be in the basketball scene in the summers and get looks. And so Coach really helped facilitate that in terms of getting to the next level. And then anytime I had schools interested in me, they would come to our practices or our games, and Coach was always such a good person for them to ask questions, and he was always a great supporter of me and vouched for me. So, yeah, he did a great job in terms of steering me in the right direction and getting to Moravian. And then to piggyback off that, Coach was always about winning. And I wanted to commit to a program that was also known for winning. So Moravian had won 2 conference championships right before I got there. So that was one of the biggest reasons, other than being close to home, that I committed there. So I just really wanted to play for a program that had a winning culture. And I really appreciated that Coach turned around Palmerton and facilitated the program into being known for winning his tenure there as well.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Coach, what's your proudest moment of Nate? Is it the man he's become? Is it the wins he helped you acquire? Is it his going to his college basketball games? as a coach, it could be any player, not just Nate. Like, what are you most proud of that you've been able to impact, especially Nate?
That's hard because, like, as a parent, as you watch your sons grow up, there's different milestones in life, and there are different achievements that you're equally proud of, but they're just at different points of life. It's hard to pick one over the other. In high school, I was just proud of the way he was balanced. He was hyper-competitive yet coachable. He was intense, but rarely lost his cool on the floor. He just always he was confident yet not cocky. He always had that great balance. My greatest memory of him playing was the night he scored 1,000. I think he came into the game needing 23 or something, and he scored 25 in the first half to get to 1,000, which was just, I've never seen that in all the 1,000-point, scoring games I've hit. Having great grades, understanding that he was a student athlete, having the academics to earn over 6 figures worth of grants and scholarships at Moravian, which helped make that whole experience possible. I was proud of that. I was proud of the way that he had the courage to go into this. Danny, you reaching out to him, and you having the courage to do it, because it must have been scary as heck. And I'm proud of just the man he's become, the loyalty that he shows, the work ethic that he has. He's a great product made from great ingredients, his parents. And, I know Coach Art George feels the same way. I know Coach Mo feels the same way. We all follow you and love you and wish you and Danny and everyone associated with you guys nothing but the best. Just so proud.
Appreciate you saying all that.
Love you, man.
One thing I want to touch on really quick. You mentioned your greatest moment or memory of me. I think mine was that 2019 district title. I think we wanted a trophy and medal so bad, and for it to come to fruition, it really made me so proud. And out of all the things I accomplished, that's something that really has stuck with me, because it still hasn't been accomplished since we've both left there. So talk about that, and talk about how special of a night that was for us and what it meant to the town and the program.
Well, it was the third year there. We hit 11 wins, like with 3 games left, and then lost our last 3 games. So we had to sit 3 freaking weeks to play the number 1 seed Notre Dame. So we literally put in an entire, new defense. We decided we were going to rotate between 3 defenses. I think we were absolutely, utterly prepared and focused for that game, and every single one of the guys on the court that night just totally stepped up. Every one of us were locked in. Probably one of my favorite pictures of all the years of coaching is that picture of you just jumping in the air, celebrating when the clock ran out, when that final shot missed and we won the game. And 4 of the 5 starters are in that picture, but you're the prominent one just running off with those big old baggy shorts hanging down to your knees, celebrating the win. And it was just a great moment for everyone who was there. And it's something I'll remember forever, and we never could have done it without Nate and all the guys that were on the team that year. Every one of them worked their butt off. I've been blessed, man. Like every other coach, you have highs, you have lows, and Nate knows about them as well as anyone. And Danny, I'm sure you do too. You guys know the highs and lows of the game too, from your experiences in college and before. But net, there's no other sport that just gives you so much as far as excitement, passion, and relationships that you get to build.
Absolutely. I think to piggyback off that night, I just remember, like you said, those 3 weeks leading up to that night, we were just so focused on the defensive scheme. And then in terms of that game, it was at Catasauqua High School. There was just, a big crowd. And I just remember that clock hitting 0, and I was just like, man, like, we talked about doing this for so long, and I remember going up to you and hugging you, and then I remember I got interviewed by TV13 right after, and my voice was so gone from communicating, like, the defensive schemes that we were changing all game. I'd be screaming them out as we were running back on defense.
It was loud in there.
Yeah, and my emotions were just shot, and I just lost it, because it just meant so much to me, and I just really wanted to be remembered in Palmerton as someone that was a winner. There were a lot of guys that came through that scored 1,000 points or had a good career, but they didn't win anything. And I just really wanted to leave a legacy in terms of winning and showing the town that matters and that was important. And so I hope all these years later, people really realize that and how important it was to me.
Amen. You and your classmates embraced the we over me attitude. Team first. It was 5 is 1. 5 is 1, and that's the most beautiful way to play the game.
I love that. 5 is 1. That's good.
We had it on the back of our shirts, actually, our warm-up shirts.
The other great memory of Nate, real quick, was his junior year, our third win together, because it was the first game of the second year there, when we came back from 12 down against Lee Heighton at school that had beaten us like 14 straight years or whatever. It felt like a whole lot over that 14 years, in a big rivalry game for our big Route 248 trophy, and Nate was bawling after that game, but it was great, man. Like I said, dude, these are the things I'll never forget about you. It's an honor to be here with you to talk about these things with you. And
appreciate you coming on.
hey, I'm looking forward to watching you guys do great things, man. I know it's going to happen.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. That was good stuff.
Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys check out Coach Termini on Facebook and LinkedIn. He's actually a coach at Saucon Valley High School now. He's an assistant for Brett Snyder. Had a great season last year, 22 wins, so make sure you guys check him out. Thanks for watching.